Hello students, how are you all? I am sure that you all are doing good. Okay, so here you see written endocrine glands. So I am discussing which chapter? I am discussing the chapter chemical coordination and integration, which is for class 11. In fact, it is studied in all the classes, but in here little detail will be required. For class 11 CBSE board, I am discussing this particularly in this video. So I will do this in two parts, class part 1 and part 2. In my next video it will be part 2. Okay, fine. What you are seeing here, what is written here? Hypothalamus. You have heard the name? Yes, you have heard several times. It is where? It is an endocrine gland. It secretes what? It secretes hormones. What are the hormones? Hormones are the intercellular messengers, right? They are non-nutritional chemicals. They are not nutritional chemicals. So they are actually the messengers from cell to cell. Okay? Why they are important? Because all these important processes which are happening there in our body continuously, these cellular functions are important because cells are involved there in all the respective parts wherever there is a metabolic process going on. So these cells are, performing their functions properly. And these hormones are helping them to do so. These hormones, these non-nutritional chemicals, okay, which act as messengers, they are helping them to perform these all metabolic processes in our body, right? So, hypothalamus, it is in the brain. When we start from the brain, from the head downwards, we will find all the endocrine glands. So, hypothalamus is in the brain. It is very important. Endocrine gland. The pituitary gland is attached with the hypothalamus with the stalk. So, pituitary gland is the master gland. And the master of master is hypothalamus because it is controlling the pituitary gland, secretions of pituitary gland. So it is the boss, it is the chief boss, right? And hypothalamus is why again important because it produces its own hormones. In addition to this important function of regulating the release of pituitary gland, it is also having its own hormones. And there are two types. One type is, stimulating hormones, which are stimulating certain functions. And another type of hormones are inhibiting hormones, which are inhibiting certain processes. Is it not very interesting? Yes, it is very, very interesting. The endocrine gland, that is hypothalamus, is producing its own or releasing its own hormones of two types. One type is, as these hormones do, it is stimulating the functions, certain function, or stimulating the release of certain hormone from the pituitary. But again, it is also secreting a kind of hormones which are inhibiting the release of certain hormone and inhibiting the process in the way. So these are two types. So what is the first type? The stimulating hormone. That is, for example, that can be the gonadotropin release hormone, GnRH, which is doing what? It is stimulating the pituitary to release gonadotropins, which is stimulating the functions of regulating and stimulating the functions of gonads, testes in male and ovaries in female, right? So this is the stimulating hormone GN, gonadotropin release hormone GnRH, okay, which is stimulating the release of gonadotropins. Hence, the gonadotropins are stimulating the functions of the gonads. Okay, fine. Another type of the inhibiting hormones that the hypothalamus is producing. The example can be your the hormone which is producing, which is inhibiting the release of growth hormone. Hemostatin is the hormone which is doing what? It is inhibiting the production of the release of growth hormone. Okay, and the name is somatostatin. What is the name of this hormone? Somatostatin. Somatostatin is doing what? It is inhibiting the release of growth hormone from the pituitary. So naturally it will inhibit the process of growth also, somatostatin. Right. So these are the two examples of the types of hormones secreted by hypothalamus. Fine. Okay. Then what is pituitary? We all have seen this now. It is the master gland, secretes number of hormones. Not only one or two, it is about 7. Right. And then the pineal gland is the smallest gland here in the brain. So pineal gland is the center of the brain. It is the smallest gland in our body. Then we come to the thyroid and parathyroid. Thyroid is a gland which is there, both the sides of the trachea. It is in lobes, and it is connected. These lobes are connected by a fine thread-like structure which is called the isthmus. And the thymus is there, which is at the back of the sternum, between the lungs. Thymus is there. Pancreas you see here. You have heard about pancreas in the digestive system. It is having double role, exocrine as well as endocrine, both the roles it is having. And then adrenal glands are there at the tip of the kidneys. You have all known or seen. And then the gonads in the female ovary and in the male testes, they also secrete hormones which help in the cellular functions of the respective metabolic process, which is taking place in that particular part. So now we'll go through in a little detail about these glands and their functions. So hypothalamus we have already covered. Now about pituitary, if you want to study in little detail, students, I will advise you to know a little more about pituitary here in class 11. You have heard and you have studied also. So it is located in a bony cavity called what is the bony cavity called? It is called the sella turcica. It is called the sella turcica, where this pituitary gland is located. This is clear? And is attached to the hypothalamus that I had said earlier with a stalk or by a stalk. And now this pituitary gland, you have to remember, students, in this class, is divided anatomically. In the internal parts, it is divided into an adenohypophysis and a neurohypophysis. Two parts, adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis. Adenohypophysis consists of two portions. The adenohypophysis consists of two portions, which are known as pars distalis and pars intermedia. So pituitary gland divided into two parts, adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis. Now adenohypophysis consists of two portions, pars distalis and pars intermedia. The pars distalis region of pituitary, commonly called anterior pituitary. The pars distalis is commonly known as anterior pituitary. So this you are understood. Pituitary is located in a cage-like structure in a bony cavity, which is known as sella turcica, right? And is attached to the hypothalamus. Now, by a stalk, now it is divided anatomically, but internally it is divided into adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis, right? Adenohypophysis is again have two portions, two portions, pars distalis and pars intermedia. The pars distalis region of pituitary is commonly known as what? Commonly known as anterior pituitary, and produces growth hormone, as I named some hormones little while ago. So these anterior part or your pars distalis is and anatomically is secreting these hormones. You have to remember these hormone names of these hormones, very well, like growth hormone, GH, prolactin, PRL, thyroid stimulating hormone, TSH, adrenocorticotropic hormone, ACTH, luteinizing hormone, LH, and follicle stimulating hormone, FSH. Okay, these are secreted by the anterior pituitary or pars distalis, and the pars intermedia secretes only one hormone called the melanocyte stimulating hormone, MSHL. Okay, however, in humans, both the areas have been merged. The pars intermedia is almost merged with pars distalis. Neurohypophysis, pars nervosa, also known as posterior pituitary, stores and releases two hormones. Posterior pituitary does what? It releases two hormones called oxytocin and vasopressin, which are actually synthesized by the hypothalamus and are transported axonally to the neurohypophysis. And this is the structure of the the pituitary in detail. That you have to remember, students. And now oversecretion of growth hormone, the pituitary secretes. What will happen in the hypo and hyper secretion of these hormones? You have to remember also. So if GH is hyper secreted, over secreted, then what will happen? Growth hormone stimulates an abnormal growth of the body, leading to gigantism. We call it gigantism, and low secretion of GH will result into dwarfism. So this you have already gone through in your earlier classes. And in a middle-aged man can result in excess secretion can result into excess secretion of growth hormone can result into disfigurement of the face called the acromegaly. So these are certain conditions which result because of the hypersecretion or hyposecretion of these hormones. So in my next video I will go in little detail about other thyroid glands and their secretions. Okay, so till then, goodbye and wish you the very best. Thank you very much. God bless you all.